Interview we promised you earlier, our reporter Aldrin Sampier spoke to advocate Busisiwe Mkwebane in an exclusive interview earlier.
He began by asking her what the main purpose of her visit to South Africa was.
Thank you so much for joining us for your time. Did you ever see this happening?
I didn't. I didn't. I was not prepared for this, but hey, it happened. So I'm honored, or I'm humbled that it finally happened. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Advocate Mkwebane, when somebody says public protector, what comes to your mind?
When somebody says public protector, it means I need to protect that particular individual. It means that particular individual has suffered a certain or has experienced a certain challenge or a certain problem, especially from a government department, from state affairs, from an organ of state. So I think that comes to my mind immediately, yes.
And I'm sure you've been following the news reports as well with the incumbent public protector, Thuli Madonsela, advocate Thuli Madonsela. A lot has been said about her and how she's been able to propel the office of the public protector into a public atmosphere where everybody knows about the public protector. What's your observation of how she's been able to handle the office, including some of the criticisms that she's also been faced with?
I think that office, in fact, even in the past, yes, some people knew about the office of the public protector, but I think my predecessor, the kind of investigations which she conducted, especially the Nkandla matter, where then everybody was very much interested in, and that case was taken up to the Constitutional Court. So that is the most critical investigation which made that office to be known by everyone. So I think my observation as well is that there's still more to be done. Yes, people know about the public protector. As I'm saying that if you say public protector, to me it's protect the public from state affairs. But then there's still a number of people who think that you can protect them from any other incident, or from another person, or from a private company, or from or investigate court decisions. So there's still more to be done, especially public awareness, making sure then that there's a lot of accessibility. So I would say the office gained a lot of exposure because of the kind of investigations which she investigated.
And speaking actually about the Nkandla matter, it concerns the president. And some have said that this shows that the public protector is fearless, and some wonder whether this new advocate who comes in as the new public protector, whether she'll be able to fill those shoes, whether she'll be able to be as fearless or even more fearless than the current incumbent.
You know what, my focus is that office is you subjected to the Constitution and the rule of law, and you need to conduct your work without fear or favor. So then as well, any matter which is brought to the attention of that particular office, as the public protector, I'll make sure then that my allegiance is to the Constitution, my allegiance is to the rule of law, and doing my work without fear or favor. So it doesn't matter who is being complained about. I think that's the critical issue. But then I think again it's a question of the style of work, or how you would want to conduct your work as a person, and how you'll approach the investigation. That's where possibly we will differ, because I will be coming with my own shoes, so to say. So then I'll be doing my work, being guided by the Constitution and by the rule of law.
Without fear or favor?
without fear or favor, definitely.
Whether it is the ruling political party,
Definitely.
whether it is the opposition party, because some criticism against the current incumbent has been that some perceive her to be more anti the ANC, anti-government, instead of protecting the public.
Yes, those were perceptions, and I would say the office is open to any person, to any political party. Remember, if you are a member of parliament, you lodge a complaint, and especially if it involves the Executive Ethics Act and the code, therefore the public protector is obliged or must investigate. So if you find that the ruling party is lodging a lot of complaints, definitely the public protector will investigate. And again, that office, we need to also to encourage the public to be well informed about the office, to be well informed about their rights, to hold accountable the people they've appointed in those offices. Yeah.
And I guess the other thing with that is that how do you then ensure that the office of the public protector is not used as a political ploy for political battles and so forth? Because some have said that throughout, probably towards the end of the tenure of Advocate Madonsela, some political parties have been using the office for political challenges and political battles.
Definitely. I think that's where I'm saying to you, I call upon every person. In fact, people need to be able to be approaching the office. Yes, if they use members of parliament, it's also fine, because members of parliament are there to be the voice to the voiceless, or people who cannot on themselves. But then at the end of the day, again, I'm saying any person is welcome to lodge their complaint. And indeed, we need to make sure then that the perception, because it will be a perception at any rate, so we need to allow any person to lodge a complaint.
What's your priority when you assume office? What's the first thing that Advocate Mkhwebane will be doing when she walks into that office of the public protector? What's on your A-list things to do?
My A-list is the employees, regarding, in fact, it's taking into cognizance that, remember, the office of the public protector, there are people who are doing the work there, and employees are the key strategic asset of the office. Therefore, it's for me to make sure then that we work together and we are on the same page with the employees and their needs are met. And again, applying the Batupili principles to the employees. I mean, so that the employees can feel that we are also treated with courtesy. We are also informed of any decision. We are also consulted. So I think if as employees we can then build that particular team, then we can handle any challenge which can face us. Then another thing then is the second one is the issue of the backlog, because it has been said that there is a backlog which is there. Then that's also one of the priorities which I'll be focusing on, to determine what kind of backlog we are having and how can we handle that. Because the challenge is that, imagine, by having that backlog as well, we are not, we need to be speedily resolving the cases. So then we need to make sure then that we prioritize the backlog instead of maybe then concentrating on the new cases. But then I think then we'll have to balance the two.
And I guess you have to work out a formula in terms of which case would you say is part of the backlog and which case is part of the new cases that will be coming in or has come in probably towards the end of the tenure of the current incumbent, because a lot of emphasis from people who have been watching and following the interviews that you gave in Parliament has been that your biggest task now will be to deal with what some say is the state capture investigation that has been taken to the public protector, and she's also indicated that that investigation will be handed over to you to deal with. But some say that, listen, this is a new investigation. There are old investigations that haven't been dealt with.
That's what I'm saying. That I think my approach will be you remember we were speaking. In fact, in accounting there's a principle called FIFO, first in, first out. So I think my priority will be the old cases. Make sure that we finalize all cases. I mean, imagine a person being rights being violated. A person couldn't access electricity because possibly their electricity has been disconnected since 2012 for 2013. I think that's a priority for me, to make sure then that the person who's at the grassroots enjoys or is attended to. Yes, there would be cases which already the current the predecessor has dealt with, which we need to finalize. We will have to then weigh the option to see how can we progressively deal with those cases. But my priority is to make sure then that old cases are dealt with first.
And it wouldn't be like, let's say you walk in now and you say, let's deal with the state capture thing, considering the public interest in it.
It will depend, because as I'm saying that which one is a matter of life and death. A person who's sitting without electricity, without hot water, children going to school without hot water, compared with the state capture. Yes, it's important for us to look into it, but then I think I will give priority to make sure then that a person who is at the grassroots level benefits more to that. Yes, the issue of the state capture is also very important, because at the end of the day, if there's maladministration, it does have an impact on people at the grassroots level as well.
The whistleblowers, the ones who come to the public protector's office and say, these are some of the allegations, or this is some of the evidence that I have. Concerns have been raised before that legislation itself doesn't protect whistleblowers enough when they bring cases forward, whether it be to the Auditor General or even to the Office of the Public Protector. How do you then deal with that?
I think the nice thing about the Office of the Public Protector is that a person can lodge a complaint, can complain to the office anonymously. I mean, as an office which has been as well, we have a legislative authority because we've been mentioned in that particular legislation. We can make sure then that the whistleblower is fully protected, because most of the time the protection part comes to the issue where the person's rights are being violated by the employer. You understand? So you find that the employee has raised a particular issue which affects the employer, and the person, you'll find that then will be targeted or will be dealt with in such a way that the person doesn't maybe get any promotion, or the person is not promoted, or the person is not treated properly, or her rights or his rights are being violated. So I think when they are lodged with the Office of the Public Protector, will maintain that issue of making sure that the person's identity possibly is not disclosed, unless then it would be obvious to the employer. But again, we'll make sure then that there is a follow-up to make sure that the employer does protect the rights of that particular employee. I think what the challenge with the legislation is that it emphasizes on if the employee is being violated, then you can take the matter up, the labor, in fact, use labor laws, maybe on the issue of unfair dismissal or unfair labor practice. But again, as the public protector, there is other revenues or avenues which we can use. For instance, the abuse of power, which you'll find that the person will be subjected to from the employer.
Apart from the whistleblowers and the complaints coming to your office, one of the things that you've mentioned and emphasized during that interview in Parliament is that, listen, the Public Protector also has the right to start its own investigations. And I wonder if it would be inappropriate at this point to ask, are there some of those cases that you've seen that this is some of the things that I'd probably like to investigate as soon as I assume office?
Not for now, but what I've identified is the issue of you'll find that there's a lot of qualified audits from the Attorney General, its office, especially from
Is this
the
on municipalities or?
on municipal level, and I think we'll have to check whether can't I approach them to check which municipalities, how can we assist the municipalities as well to deal with those issues, to as well whether they have taken any action against the said employees, if there's continuous irregular expenditure, and I mean, because as well they to check whether is there any maladministration which is continuously happening and there's nothing which has been done, so that possibly then people are held to account.
And
on
in doing your work and investigating different political players in government, how do you then ensure that there's no antagonistic relationship between your office as well as the executive, or being members of on local government or even provincial government? Because there's also been a lot of criticism against the incumbent, that listen, the incumbent seems to be attacking the current government, and there seems to be that antagonistic relationship, and this has played out even during the Nkandla case, where the cabinet had to take her to court.
The critical issue is communication. As I said, remember the Public Protector as a Chapter 9 institution, like any other, is to strengthen and support constitutional democracy. Therefore, you are not there to be antagonistic, or you do your work, then you then expect that you can't do the work and expect that you'll release a report, or then whoever you are investigating will then discover the report in the newspapers. I think the issue is communication, which is very critical, because if you are investigating a matter, you continuously engage the person you are investigating or the state organ you are investigating. You bring new information to light. You as well give them an opportunity to respond. You compile a report. You send it to them. This is a preliminary report, especially the affected party. Because then it's a question of, yes, possibly sometimes you wouldn't have or it won't be received well by the other party, but the fact of the matter is you give the person an opportunity. Because I think the critical issue is to make sure then that there's that communication and that understanding that now I'm finalizing my report, now I'm going to be releasing my report. So I think the person will be well informed, instead of then the investigation is conducted and then all of a sudden the report is in the media.
Actually, speaking about that, I think this is something that I raised with the previous public protector as well, especially during Nkandla, where the preliminary report was leaked to the media, and as we know, that's against the law. But her office then decided not to take it up against the various media houses. When you come into office, is that something that you'll be looking into, and how do you raise that with the media and say that, listen, my preliminary reports are private and confidential up until such a point when these are we make a final report and release the final report to the public?
Definitely. I think those are some of the issues which one will have to deal with in the office. Remember, I'm going to be the public protector, not only looking into the investigations. Remember, there's also management issues, there's leadership issues to check, as I said, the issues of employees, the issues of the systems we are using, the issue of what is our communication policy saying. Look at our policies as well to say, how do we handle them, who's working in there, and the level of the level of the officials who are handling what kind of a report. So I think we will as well look into whether do we need to classify certain information to make sure then that as soon as then the report is ready, then we can publish it and declassify it.
With the purpose of having that clause there that if this is made public, there will be prosecution.
Definitely, because then it will be the issue of who leaked that particular information. Because in fact, in the sense of saying possibly it's a confidential document, or it's still, in fact, if it's confidential, then it's only for consumption within the organization to make sure then that this report is complete. I think the issue of leaking or making sure that the information is out there, we need to make sure that there's constant engagement, especially with the employees, how critical it is to keep the matter confidential until such time the report is ready, to make sure then that even the affected party is informed, or the complainant is also informed. This is our finding, or this is what we've discovered. This will be our final report before then the report is released. I think those were the issues which unnecessarily caused tension, which we'll have to work on.
Which is something that you
Yeah,
have to work
but
on.
sometimes you can't satisfy everyone. Yeah.
And once that report is out, the remedial action is there, and you find that there are some departments or some SOEs who don't enforce that remedial action. I know, of course, there was the Constitutional Court judgment. Do you think it will be much easier now to enforce the remedial action, so that SOEs and government institutions know that these are not just mere recommendations?
Definitely, it will be easy, because now, I mean, there was a clear pronouncement to say public protectors' remedial action are enforceable. So then if the state organ or the government department is not happy with that finding, then they can take the public protector for review. So then that's why I was saying possibly then there will be increased expenses as far as that is concerned, especially if we are taken to court. But then I think if you've done your proper consultation, communication with that institution, I don't think it will lead to that.
Do you anticipate, though, there could be an increased number of reviews that you're...
There would be, because remember, there are cases which there were findings. So then we will have to go back and check whether all those remedial actions have been enforced. And then remember, if you go back to that department and they would be saying, no, we don't agree, or we are taking you on review. But it will depend as well whether they are still within the time frame to do that. So it will depend. But then I think with new cases going forward is to make sure that we do a proper and a thorough investigation, proper consultation, so that when the report is released, the report is a report which is to the satisfaction of everyone.
Advocate Mkhwebane, before I let you go, I can't let you go without asking this one. The allegation raised by the DA before the permanent appointment was made around you being a spy while you were working in China. Is there any truth to this?
You know, it's not. There's no truth in that, and that issue anyway. It's an issue which I'll still engage with them to make sure then that they possibly withdraw their statement, because working in China, I was sent by the government and by the Department of Home Affairs. I've never worked for state security before. And I was working as an employee of the Department of Home Affairs. And the challenge is that, I mean, if you say a person was a spy, remember, as South Africa, we've got diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. That might have an impact on the political relations, as if you are sending a person to the embassy and you are using that person as a spy. I think if we are patriotic enough, we shouldn't be making such statements. And another thing is that the State Security Agency is there to protect the state. So educating then possibly the DA to say the state, it includes the government, it includes the people, it includes the laws, it includes the values of South Africa. Therefore, state security is not a government security. Government is part of the state actor in the state. So if people are working for the state security, they are there to make sure that they protect the laws, they protect the people, they protect the government, they protect the values of South Africa from foreign attacks, and making sure then that the constitution is protected, and the people are protected, and all our strategic installations as a country are protected. Therefore, state security plays a very critical role in the country.
Have you been able to ascertain where that allegation came from?
No, isn't it? They said they've got sources. So possibly if they can disclose those sources, and if they can prove those sources, where did they get that particular information, it will be interesting.
Advocate Mkhwebane, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.